Do you bristle when you hear him make those comparisons?
I bristle when anybody makes those comparisons. You know,
Fair
we were
point.
lucky enough to have Ronald Reagan, for 8 years during our lives to be president of the United States of America. They really need to put him in the rearview mirror and look forward and say what they're going to do to make this world and this country a much better place to live than trying to sell themselves as the next Ronald Reagan, because there is no next Ronald Reagan.
Okay, but about this candidate in particular, is there anything Reagan-esque?
No, not really. There's nothing really Reagan-esque. I mean, my father was humble. That's not what you find in a Donald Trump, I might say. I write about it in my book, about my father, the humility that he had, the fact that he wasn't demeaning. He didn't talk down to people. He talked with people, which is the complete opposite of what Donald Trump, in fact, does.
He disarmed your father with humor. I read that part of the book where you said that he never spoke down to folks. I mean, his tool in his arsenal was to be funny and to be insightful through his humor.
Yeah, absolutely right. He really disarmed people. Look at Mondale in the '84 debates.
Right.
Absolutely disarmed him at that point and won the debate with one line in that. Or, when my father's shot and he says to the doctors, I hope you're all Republicans. Or he says to Nancy as she walks in, honey, I forgot to duck. I mean, it was always that side of him, that humorous side of him, that really diffused situations and put people at ease within his presence.
Michael, here's something I found very interesting. On the back cover of the book, there's a blurb, a wonderful blurb by Newt Gingrich. And it occurs to me, how would Michael Reagan feel if Donald Trump were to tap Newt as his Veep and for Newt to say yes?
I think it'd be a good choice. You need somebody who certainly knows Washington and certainly knows the Congress of the United States of America. It was Newt who put together the package that allowed the Republicans, after 40 years in the wilderness, to come back and take control of the Congress of the United States. I think it'd be a good choice for him, but what happens is people always vote for the top of the ticket. They don't vote for second place.
But you've acknowledged you didn't vote for Donald Trump in California in the recent primary. Would you be disappointed in Newt if he accepted that invitation from Donald Trump?
No, I wouldn't be disappointed in Newt. I would hope that Newt would be able to take him aside and really talk to him in the right kind of way and tell him what he needs to do. And he really does need to humble himself. My father, he humbled himself and said, I'm sorry, and apologized for Iran-Contra. And people forgave him for apologizing. And from there, he went on to greatness. Donald Trump would go a long ways to apologizing to the judge, apologizing to Ted Cruz's father, apologizing to Marco Rubio, and apologizing to many other people, and humbling himself and going forward. If he doesn't do that, he's going to have a lot of trouble winning the election in November.
Final question for Michael Reagan. I saw on Twitter when you said that this is perhaps the first Republican for whom your father would not have voted for president. I'm curious about you. Are you prepared to vote for Hillary Clinton? Are you prepared to vote for Gary Johnson? What are you going to do in a general election?
I'm prepared to vote for the down ticket at this point in time. It's up to, in fact, Donald Trump to convince me that he wants my vote and therefore earns my vote. I don't think you just give it willy-nilly. It's an important position, and I think you really have to earn it instead of go in lockstep. And I don't appreciate the name-calling, the degradation, the demeaning that's gone on in this primary circus that we in fact had. And it's up to Donald Trump to unite and put the party together. It's not up to me. It's not up to others. It's up to Donald Trump to do that. And how he's going to do it, we don't know.